forth vestments for all the worshipers of Baal.
Look, put them on some nice robes and everything. Put them on some nice clothes for Baal. You understand? Dress them up for Baal. Because he getting ready to do something to them. Go ahead and read.
And he brought them forth vestments. And Jehu went and Jehoiada, the son of Rechab, into the house of Baal, and said unto the worshipers of Baal, search and look that there be here with you none of the servants of the Lord, but the worshipers of Baal only.
Go ahead. Now he said, you know, separate them now, you know, make sure we don't have no worshipers of the Lord in here, just the worshipers of Baal. Go ahead and read.
And when they went in to offer sacrifices and burnt offerings, Jehu appointed 80 men without, and said, if any of the men whom I have brought into your hands escape,
go ahead.
He that letteth him go, his life shall be for the life of him. All right,
now, so, you know, if you let somebody go or want to worship Baal now, you let him go, I'm going to take your life. Now, this Jehu, he was serious about this, wasn't he? Amen. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of the offering of the burnt offering, that Jehu said to the guard and to the captains, go in and slay them.
Go in and slay them. Now look what he done dressed them all up nice and everything. Then he told his captain of the guard, go in and slay them. Go ahead and read.
Let none come forth.
Let none come forth. Go ahead.
And they smote them with the edge of the sword. And the guard and the captains cast them out.
Go ahead.
And went to the city of the house of Baal. And they brought forth the images of the house of Baal and burned them.
They brought out the images of Baal and they did what? They burned them. Go ahead and read verse 27.
And they break down the image of Baal and break down the house of Baal and made it a draught house until this day.
Now he said he made a drought house until this day. We're going to show you what this drought house is a little bit later. But skip down to verse 30 because the Lord was well pleased with this. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto Jehu, because thou hast done well in executing that which is right in my eyes.
He said, because you have executed that or done that which is right in my eyes. Go ahead and read.
And hast done unto the house of Ahab according to all that was in my heart. Thy children of the fourth generation shall sit on the throne of Israel.
Ooh. Now this was well pleasing to the Lord. Because the Lord had Solomon to read, there's a time to live, there's a time to die too, didn't he? There's a time for peace and there's a time for war too, didn't he? But this thing that Jehu did, it was well pleasing to the Lord. He had all the worshipers of Baal slain. Put them on nice clothes and then slain them in the house of Baal, then turn around and burn down the house of Baal.
That's right, brother.
Look at this. Let's go now. Let's go to 1 Samuel, the 5th chapter. Back up. 1 Samuel, the 5th chapter. I want you to know that this thing is serious with God. 1 Samuel, the 5th chapter. This is very serious with God, with this idolatry. This idol worshiping. It is very serious with God. And I'm going to show you another form of idolatry in a minute. Show you another form. We at 1 Samuel 5, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. 1 Samuel 5 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
And the Philistines took the ark of God and brought it from Ebenezer into Ashdod.
Now, Jehu, he destroyed Baal, right? Now you can see God destroy Dagon. You can see God do this. But go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Says,
we don't have no slide of Dagon, do we? All right, go ahead.
And brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. When the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon.
Go ahead.
And set it by Dagon. And
now Dagon, he like a fish god. You know, they have made him out into like a fish god. You know, the history said, well, you know, we can't find no artifacts or nothing like this dating back to when he's supposed to start, like 2500 BC or something like that. we can't find no artifacts of him being a fish god. But we do know that there was a god called Dagon.
Yes, sir.
Men have turned him into a fish god, which don't make no difference anyway, because he wasn't nothing back then. He ain't nothing today neither.
Make that plain.
Whether you're a fish, an owl, or whatever animal, cow, whatever animal they want to make him out of. Because that God be no God. I'm going to show you. Like Jehu destroyed their God, that the Baal, now Dagon's going to be destroyed by the God, the living God. Go ahead and read.
Verse 3.
Uh-huh.
And when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of the Lord.
Now, Dagon was falling upon the earth before the Lord. Go ahead and read some more.
And they took Dagon and set him in his place again.
Uh-huh.
And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord.
Now he was falling on his face before the ark of the Lord. You know, I see the picture this morning. He had his hands cut off and his head cut off, and he was just still laying right there before the ark of the Lord. A big old statue they made of Dagon, and he just laying there before the ark of the Lord. Ain't moved, nothing. Go ahead and read. What verse you at?
The middle of 4.
Uh-huh.
And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off from upon the threshold.
Uh-huh.
Only the stump of Dagon was left to him.
Only the stump of him was left to him. You know, God was doing this. You know, to show them that this Dagon ain't God. I'm God. Look at what I just done to him. He didn't get up and do nothing. What verse you at, man? I'm sorry.
5.
Now we're gonna read you a little bit. We're gonna come back. We'll just read you a little bit about Dagon. We're gonna go to Revealed Bible Dictionary.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it already. Okay, we're going to page 214. Should be marked off. Read a little bit about it. Then we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back here to 1 Samuel. We're gonna pick it up at verse 5.
Yes, this is the Revealed Bible Dictionary, page 274. Dagon, the principal god of the Philistines.
The principal god of the Philistines. Now the Philistines, those are African people. Go ahead.
The name Dagon goes back to at least 2500 BC.
Uh-huh.
In the original Canaanite pantheons. Ancient documents suggest he was originally a god of crops and fertility.
He was a god of crops and fertility. Uh-huh.
In Canaanite mythology, Dagon was the father of Baal.
Oh, Dagon in mythology, Dagon was the father of Baal. And we see what happened to the son, don't we? We see what that Jehu, he destroyed Baal, didn't he? Now the Lord turned around and destroyed his father. Just to show you that neither one of them be no gods. Neither one of them killed the father and the son, which they weren't alive anyway, just statues, a figment of some man's imagination. Let's go back to 1 Samuel, the 5th chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 5. 1 Samuel 5 and 5. Go ahead and read that again.
Therefore, neither the priests of Dagon nor any that come into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon and Ashdod until this day.
See, they don't tread on the threshold of Dagon and Ashdod until this day. Lord put him out of commission, didn't he?
Come on.
Put his son out of commission, Baal, then turn around and put him out of commission. Read verse 6.
Verse 6.
Uh-huh.
But the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them.
And he destroyed them. Go ahead.
And smote them with emeralds.
Go ahead.
Even Ashdod's in the coast thereof.
Uh-huh.
And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, the ark of God of Israel shall not abide with us.
they got wise, didn't they?
Come on, brother.
Them people got wise. They said, get that ark of the Lord out of here. Because this is why these things are befalling us. Go ahead and finish that.
For his hand is sore upon us.
They knew that this was the God of Israel doing this to him. He said that his hand is sore upon us. Go ahead and read.
And upon Dagon our God.
And upon Dagon. So he made them a believer, didn't he?
Sure enough.
He made them a believer. Just like one day he's going to make the earth a believer. He's going to make the whole earth a believer. Let's go now. Let's go to Psalm 115. Psalm 115. And we're going to pick it up at verse 2. Psalm 115 and 2. See, this God right here, he proves himself every time. Look, I'm going to smack your God down. Then I'm going to smack his son down. Then I'm going to whoop on you. That's how this God is. Psalm 115 and 2. Psalm 115 and 2. Go ahead and read.
Wherefore should the heathen say, where is now their God?
Uh-huh.
But our God is in the heavens.
But our God is in the heaven. Go ahead.
He hath done whatsoever he hath pleased.
And who stopped him? Dagon didn't stop him, did he? Jehu, Baal, he didn't stop him. Jehu went and destroyed Baal. He didn't stop him. Lord turned around, knocked down Dagon, then cut off his hands and his head. Dagon didn't do nothing, did he? Go ahead and read.
Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands.
Go ahead.
They have mouths, but they speak not.
But Dagon, he had a mouth, but he couldn't say nothing, could he? Hey, he couldn't even say, hey, somebody help me. He couldn't even say that, could he? Get him off me, somebody. He couldn't even do that. Go ahead and read.
Eyes have they, but they see not.
See, Baal, he had eyes, but he couldn't see. Because if he couldn't see, then he would have known that the Lord is getting ready to destroy his people and him. And his house. Go ahead and read.
They have ears, but they hear not. Noses have they, but they smell not.
Go ahead.
They have hands, but they handle not. Feet have they, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their throats.
Go ahead.
They that make them are like unto them.
Ooh, they that make them are like unto them. We're going to keep moving. Go ahead.
So is everyone that trusted in them.
So is everyone that trusted in them. So is everyone that trusted in them. Let's go now. Let's go to Habakkuk. Let's go to Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. Habakkuk 2. And Habakkuk is right after Zechariah. I'm sorry, that's Zephaniah. That's what I meant to say. It's right after Zephaniah. Not Zechariah, Zephaniah. All right, everybody got it? Oh, I'm wrong. I got heavy. Okay, right before. Thank you. Habakkuk 2 and 18. 2 and 18. Go ahead.
What profit the graven image that the maker thereof hath graven it? The molten image and a teacher of lies.
The molten image, and he said, what profit is this of a graven image? The maker thereof have graven it. The molten image and a teacher of what?
Lies.
Lies. Because you ain't coming from this word right here, then you try to come from some other book and try to say this your God's book and everything. It's a bunch of lies. A bunch of lies. Go ahead and read.
And the maker of his work trusted therein. To make dumb idols.
To make what?
Dumb idols.
Dumb idols. That's what these are, dumb idols. Go ahead and read.
Woe unto him that saith to the wood, awake, to the dumb stone, arise.
You see what they said? They said to the stone, to the wood, awake, and to the stone, arise. And it's going to be sitting right there like a statue, not going to move, not going to bat an eye. Because they are dumb idols. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Woe unto them that saith to the wood, awake, to the dumb stone, arise, and shall teach.
Go ahead.
Behold, it is laid over with gold and silver.
That's just to make it look all nice and fancy and everything, but it still ain't going to do nothing, though. Ain't going to move one finger. Go ahead and read.
It is laid over with gold and silver, and there is no breath at all in the midst of it. But the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him.
He said the Lord is in his what? He in his holy temple. Let all the earth be silent before him. We're going to bag up now. Let's bag up in the same chapter, bag up to verse 6. Because we want to bring something else on the scene here too about idolatry that most people do not even pay attention to. Verse 6, go ahead and read that.
Shall not all these...
We're going to get back to the idols and everything in a minute. Let's deal with this other part of covetousness. Go ahead and read.
Shall not all these take up a parable against him? And taunting proverb against him? And say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that laid of himself with thick clay.
Skip down to verse 9. Skip down to verse 9. Go ahead and read it.
Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house.
Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house. Go ahead and read.
That he may set his nest on high. That he may be delivered from the power of evil.
So he said, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness. Well, you know, why did you go here, brother? Well, I'm going to show you why we went here. I'm going to show you why we went here. Let's go now. We're going to go to, we're going to look up the word covet for a minute. We're going to look up the word covenant, and we're going to reveal, we're going to look it up twice. We're going to reveal Bible dictionary first, and we're going to look up the word covet. Then we're going to go to Urban's Bible dictionary, and we're going to look it up again. Well, look at what, and I went here for a reason. You see it? Covet? That ain't it? Okay, we have to find it here. Okay. Didn't mean, I thought I had it. Thought I had yeah, you go read it in there first. Go ahead and read it in there. Let me find it.
This is the Eerdmans Bible Dictionary. Covet. To desire material possessions.
To desire material possessions.
Particularly what belongs to another. One of the basic tenets of the Mosaic law forbids the Israelites to desire or perhaps resent what belongeth to their neighbors. It's Exodus 20:17.
Okay, go ahead. Did you finish with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we're supposed to be oh, I'm sorry. That's why I can't find it. That's why I can't find it. It's in this book, Reader's Digest.
Switcheroo.
All right, go ahead. Looking in the wrong book. Sorry about that. So we're going to read covet again. We're going into Reader's Digest Encyclopedia Dictionary. Go ahead.
Says to desire eagerly, long for, especially to desire something belonging to another.
So you longing for and desiring something belong to somebody else. Not only that, this is the 10th commandment right here, thou shalt not covet. You finish that?
Number 2 definition is to feel desire, long, or lust.
So read that covet again in Urban's Bible Dictionary. Read that again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is Eerdmans Bible Dictionary, page 242. Covet. To desire material possessions, particularly what belongs to another. One of the basic tenets of the Mosaic law forbids the Israelites to desire, or perhaps resent, what belongs to their neighbor.
Or perhaps resent what belongs to their neighbor. So they're being resentful to their neighbor because their neighbor got, you know how people are, such and such just got a new car. He think he's something. I want one of them cars. Why can't I have one of them cars? Being resentful to a person because the Lord has blessed them with something. But we're going to go to Exodus 20th chapter and we're going to read this. Because the Lord had it. This is so important right here. The Lord had it in His 10 Commandments. And men, we don't pay attention to this. We don't pay attention to just the last commandment. Exodus 20, and we're going to pick it up at verse 16. I'm going here for a reason. Exodus 20, and we're going to pick it up at verse 16. Go ahead and read it.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife.
Go ahead.
Nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is in thy neighbor's. So
now he said, thou shalt not covet anything that belongs to, lust after what your neighbor got. Or be resentful towards your neighbor because the Lord has blessed him with something. Let's go to Mark the 7th chapter. Mark 7. Now look how important that is. The Lord made it the 10th commandment. And this is something that we hardly ever pay attention to. Mark 7, and we're going to pick up at verse 17. Mark 7 and 17. Go ahead and read it.
And when he was entering into the house from the people, his disciples asked him concerning the parable. And he said unto them, Are ye so without understanding also? Do ye not perceive that whatsoever thing from without entereth into the man, it cannot defile him? Because it entereth not into his heart, but into the belly.
Go ahead.
And goeth out into the drought, purging all
So
meats.
remember we read about the drought earlier, the drought house earlier? Well, what do you think that this drought house is? It is where the persons go and use the washroom at. It's an outhouse. That's what the drought house is, an outhouse. But go ahead and read.
20. And he said, that which cometh out of the man, that defileth the man, that defileth the man, for from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts, idolatries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness.
Ooh, stop right there. There it is. He said, from within, out of the heart of a man proceeded evil thoughts, adulteries, fornication, murders, theft, covetousness. We don't pay attention. I'm going to show you what this covetousness is. Read that one more time.
Yes, sir.
Verse 22.
22.
Go ahead.
Thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile the man.
All these evil things come within and defile a man. Well, you see what he said? Covetousness, didn't he? Let's go to Ephesians, the 5th chapter. I'm sorry, Ephesians, the 5th chapter. Pick it up at verse 3. Ephesians 5 and 3. Let's see what this covetousness is. Ephesians 5 and 3. Everybody got it? Go ahead and read it.
But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness.
There it is again. He said, but fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness,
let it not be once named among you as becoming saints.
He said, don't let this be named among one of you as becoming saints. This covetousness. Skip down to verse 5. What does that say?
For this ye know, that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous
now he
man.
He said, for this you know that no whoremonger, this is sin, ain't it?
Come on.
And so we know that sin is transgressing the law, and that's what we're dealing with now, the law, aren't we?
Yes,
for this you know that no whoremonger, nor, now this is, wait a minute, this is in Ephesians, he's talking to the Gentiles. You mean Gentiles, they got to keep the law too?
Make that plain.
Look at what he's saying. Read it over.
For this ye know that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater.
Well, stop right there. You see what the covetous man is? He is an idolater. He practices idolatry. You didn't know that, did you?
Come on.
The covetous man, he is idolater. He practices idolatry then. Look at what the Lord called his covenants. Idolatry. We read this all the time, pass right over it, don't we? Amen. But look how serious this is with God. This covetousness is so serious with God, he put it in the Ten Commandments. And then he turned around and told you, you know what? This is idolatry. If you're a covetous person, you're practicing idolatry. You're an idolater.
Whoa. That
is really something, man. We better pay attention to what we read. Because God had the apostle write this because this is something serious with God. They're not just writing this for nothing. It was so serious with God, like I said, he had it written in the Ten Commandments. It's the Ten Commandments. Read that 5th verse again, because somebody didn't hear that.
For this ye know, that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater, have any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God.
Ooh. You an idolater. You better wait. You're a covetous person. You're an idolater. You ain't gonna have no inheritance in the kingdom of God.
It's written.
That is really something. God is very meticulous. He wants you to pay attention to what he reads, because you let this slip right by you. And then you think you get ready to, oh yeah, I did what God said. Well, hold on. What about covetousness, though? Were you a practice of covetousness? Because you're an idolater, and you're not going to inherit the kingdom of God. You better pay attention to this God right here. So what you think is small and it's meaningless, he said, you know what? You're not going to inherit the kingdom of God because of it. Let's go look at it again. Let's go look at it again. Let's go to Colossians. So we're going to get back to the idols and all that stuff in a minute. I just want you to see this part of it, because this is very serious. That's why I named the lesson idols and images are all idolatry before God. But this right here is idolatry before God too. Covetousness. Let's go to Colossians, the 3rd chapter. Now he's telling this to the Gentiles now, for all those naysayers that say, oh, well, the law is for Israel and not for the Gentiles. Meanwhile, you got a brother darker than me saying he's a Gentile. But anyway, Colossians 3. Colossians 3, and we're going to pick it up at verse 5. Colossians 3 and 5. Go ahead and read it.
Fortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness.
And covenant, there it is again. And well, he's going to tell you what it is.
Which is idolatry.
Which is idolatry. Which is idolatry. And what's going to happen to these people?
For which things' sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience.
Ooh, the wrath of God is going to come upon you because of these things. And covetousness, which is idolatry, that's one of them, isn't it? Nobody really pays attention to that 10th commandment, do we? We just pass right over it. But this is very serious with God. You liar, murder, thief, fornication, all the Lord said, I'm going to punish you for that too. But look what else he's going to punish you for too. The 10th commandment, covetousness. You lusting after somebody else and being resentful because the Lord has blessed somebody else with something. But you know what? If you don't do this, the Lord is going to also bless you. Let's go to Proverbs, the 28th chapter. Proverbs, the 28th chapter. Now we're dealing with covetousness, which is idolatry. But look at what the Lord said he will do with you if you don't practice this covetousness, which is idolatry. Proverbs 28:15, Proverbs 28 and 15. you got it, say amen.
Amen.
Proverbs 28:15. Go ahead and read.
As a roaring lion and a raging bear, so is a wicked ruler over the pure people.
Go ahead.
Over the poor people. Excuse me. Back. As a roaring lion and a raging bear, so is the wicked ruler over the poor people. The prince that wanted understanding is also a great oppressor. But he that hateth covetousness shall prolong his days.
Ooh, Lord gonna bless you for this. He said, but he that hateth covetousness shall prolong his days. That is really something, ain't it? I could use something like that. Prolong my days if I don't practice covetousness? Man, maybe I want to take a real big look at this, boy. You don't practice this covetousness, the Lord said he will prolong your days.
Hallelujah.
Now, let's get back to these dumb idols again. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. So that's just something that we want to keep in mind. You know, this covetousness. Because it'll slip up on you. I mean, you look at them, it's all over TV, all over everywhere, lusting after things, isn't it? All over everywhere. But a servant of God can't practice this. Because you do, Lord said you're not going to inherit the kingdom of God. Now, we want to really think about that, don't we? This is very serious. But let's get back to these dumb idols again. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. Because the book called them dumb idols. Don't. We can read it. 1 Corinthians 12 and 1. 1 Corinthians 12 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away into these dumb idols.
Ooh, see that? I didn't say it, Paul said it. You know that you were Gentiles carried away into these dumb idols. Rebecca said it too, didn't he? Said these are dumb idols. Go ahead and read. But God had already had prophesied they can't move, they can't hear, they can't see, they can't talk. Well, if they can't do none of these things, they dumb idols then, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
Read that verse again.
Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away into these dumb idols, even as ye were led.
Even as you were led. See, they were taught these things. They were taught these things to worship these dumb idols and rear up these dumb idols. They were taught these things. Let's go to Acts the 19th chapter and look at one of these dumb idols. That's even being worshipped and sought after even today. Even today. Acts 19 and 21. Acts 19 and 21. Go ahead and read.
After these things were ended, Paul purposed in the spirit when he had passed through Macedonia and Achaia.
Go ahead.
To go to Jerusalem, saying, after I have been there, I must also see Rome.
Go ahead.
So he sent into Macedonia 2 of them that ministered unto him, Timotheus and Erastus.
Erastus, yeah.
But he himself stayed in Asia for a season. In the same time there arose no small stir about that way. For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith.
Now he's a silversmith now. I mean, you know, he worked with precious metals. Go ahead and read.
For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana, brought to no small gain unto the craftsmen.
See, he done brought no small. He's making money off of this Diana. These shrines for Diana. He making money off of it. He said, book say he bought no small gain. So he was getting his money, wasn't he? Now this Diana, this is a pagan deity. Come on with that slide. Go ahead and read.
25. Whom he called together with the workmen of like occupation and said, Sirs, ye know that by this craft we have our wealth. Moreover, ye see and hear that not all of Ephesus, but But almost throughout all Asia, this Paul hath persuaded and turned away much people.
See, Paul down there preaching, boy. He down there preaching. He done turned away much people. What was he doing? What was he saying? Go ahead.
Saying that they be no gods, which are made with hands.
He was down there preaching, saying, these gods that y'all making, this Diana that y'all make, there ain't no gods that's made with hands. Now that's down in the 1st century now. Paul is telling them this. I mean, you know, we went all the way back in the Old Testament, all the way back to Deuteronomy, Leviticus, all of it. We down in the 1st century now. Paul still telling them, look, ain't no gods made with hands. So now they gonna get mad now. Which Paul telling them right though, isn't it? Just like we talk about all those other gods that men got, those ain't no gods. Go ahead and read.
27.
So
that not only this our craft is in danger to be set a naught, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed.
Go ahead.
Whom all Asia in the world worship.
You see that? He said, you know what? This great Diana, all the world in Asia worship her. You know, Paul come, he gonna destroy our craft. But he wasn't worried about no craft. He wasn't worried about no money and all that. Wasn't worried about no Diana and the temple and all that. He worried about money. Because he said he brought no small gain. Now who wants somebody to stop their money from coming? They didn't want nobody to stop their money back then, just like we don't want nobody stopping our money now, though, right? So he said, you know what? This guy Paul, you know, he messing it. He turning people around with this great talking about the greatest Diana and how her magnificence, how she should be destroyed, and how these gods are not made with hands. We got to do something about this guy. Just like now, you go over and start telling people about their one-on-one and start telling them about their God. And then they start getting around. And it's true. They're going to be looking like, hey, what we going to find Rodney? Caleb said, what? Oh, we going to find him. Go ahead and read.
28. And when they heard these things, these sayings, they were full of wrath.
Go ahead.
And cried out, saying, Great is Diana of the Ephesians.
They said, they crying out, great is Diana of the Ephesians. Well, she wasn't nothing but an idol, or wasn't she? Go ahead and read.
29. And the whole city was filled with confusion.
See, now everybody confused now. You know, you got some people, they worshiping Diana, some people, they worship another god, and some people, they worshiping the God of Israel. So now they confused. Go ahead, but Israel, they don't care. They do not care. They still gonna jump in it. They don't even know what's going on. They're gonna jump in it. Go ahead and read.
And the whole city was filled with confusion, and having caught Gaius and Aristarchus,
go ahead,
men of Macedonia, Paul's companions in travel, they rushed with one accord into the theater.
Go ahead.
And when Paul would have entered in unto the people, the disciples suffered him not. And certain of the chief of Asia, which were his friends, sent unto him, desiring him that he would not adventure himself into the theater.
So they try to persuade him, now Paul, don't go in that theater. Go ahead and read.
Some therefore cried one thing, and some another.
Go ahead.
For the assembly was confused.
See, Israel don't care. They gonna still get it. They don't know what's going on. They gonna get in it. So they confused now. They don't even know what's going on. Go ahead and read.
And the more part knew not wherefore they were come together.
They don't even know why they coming together. But these Israelites though, they get ready to jack Paul and his companions up. They don't even know why though. Go ahead and read.
And they drew Alexander out of the multitude, the Jews putting him forward. And Alexander beckoned with the hand and would have made his defense unto the people. But when they knew that he was a Jew, all with one voice about the space of 2 hours cried out, Great is Diana of Ephesians.
Great is Diana of Ephesians. Go ahead and read.
And when the town clerk
I'm sorry, I said these was Jews. These are Gentiles. I'm sorry. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But when they knew that he was a Jew, all with one voice about the space of 2 hours cried out, "Great is Dan of the Ephesians." And when the town clerk had appeased the people, he said, "Ye men of Ephesus,
go ahead.
What man is there that knoweth not how that the city of Ephesians is a worshiper of the great goddess Diana?"
See, he said, you know what? Dude, what person don't know that what man that don't know that Diana is a goddess? She is a great goddess. What man around here don't know this? Go ahead and read.
And of the image which fell down from Jupiter.
This image which fell down from Jupiter. Come on now, we know that this is a false deity now, don't we? But we already saw that the silversmith was making these shrines of Diana, wasn't he? Go ahead and read.
Seeing then that these things cannot be spoken against, ye ought to be quiet, and to do nothing rashly.
Go ahead.
For ye have brought hither these men, which are neither robbers of churches, nor yet blasphemers of your goddess.
Go ahead.
Wherefore, if Demetrius and the craftsmen which are with him have a matter against any man, the law is open.
Go ahead.
And there are deputies, let them plead.
Let them plead one another. Now, skip down to verse 41.
And when he had thus spoken, he dismissed the assembly.
When he had thus spoken, he had dismissed the assembly. Now, we're going to show you about this Diana. So we're going to go to Revell Bible Dictionary, and we're going to pick up Diana out of Revell Bible Dictionary. And it's going to tell you to see something. So let's get ready to. Yeah, there you go. What does it say?
Says Diana. See Artemis.
See Artemis. And we go in that same book, go to the front to Artemis. It should be. Now we're going to read you a little bit about Artemis, because I told you earlier, some of these guys are still being worshipped and sought after even today. So he said, Artemis. Go ahead and read.
Artemis of Ephesus, called Diana in the King James verse. Artemis of the Ephesians was a goddess of fertility modeled on ancient Asia. Earth mother goddess Cybele or Ashtaroth.
And see, around the time of Easter, we deal more so with her on the name Ashtaroth. Are you done with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Civil or Ashtaroth.
Okay, so now we're going to read about her a little bit more. Now we're going to show you the idol goddess called Diana or Artemis. Can we get that on the? No? Okay, so now this is a picture of Diana, the goddess Diana or Artemis, right? So now let's read a little bit more about her. Don't read this stuff.
Diana of Ephesians with her menagerie and crescent moon necklace.
A crescent moon necklace. Go ahead.
Diana was known as the goddess of the hunt and the moon goddess. Ephesus was the image-making capital of the world.
Well, it just went off. Okay, go ahead.
Diana was known as the goddess of the hunt and the moon goddess. Ephesus was the image-making capital of the world.
Oh, wait a minute. Ephesus was an image-making capital of the world. But remember the guy said, who don't know that Diana is a great god all over the earth? Everybody knows she's a great god. And so Ephesus at one time was a god-making capital of the earth or of the world. Read that again.
Diana was known as the goddess of the hunt and the moon goddess. Ephesus was the image-making capital of the world.
It was the image-making capital of the world. Now, what do you think God think about this? He said, don't make no images or no idols. And that's exactly what meant. But I'm going to show you that she is still being sought after even today. Go ahead and read though.
Yes, sir. The image-making capital of the world, and who knows how many of these images were produced. She was the main competition to the Son of God, of Jehovah, in the Old Testament.
She was the main competition to who? Jehovah in the Old Testament. Go ahead.
This huntress...
No, you skipped something.
No.
Read it again.
She was the main competition to the Son of God, of Jehovah, in the Old Testament.
Okay, or the Son of God. It said she was the main competition to the Son of God or Jehovah. You see, Jehovah, Jesus, same one. See, we're not the only ones that know about this. But she was supposed to be in competition, main competition with God. Come on. You see what God had done to Baal, right? You see what God had done to Baal. And you see what God had done to Dagon. So how is she in the competition? He could have done the same thing to this Diana too, couldn't he? Go ahead and finish that.
Yes, sir. This huntress of souls did have her beneficent side. She was the nourishing mother whose many breasts were supposed to supply the whole world with milk.
Yeah, really something. You know, men's imaginations run wild, don't they? Their imaginations run wild. Go ahead.
Satan always have attractive bait to snare his victims.
You see who this is from? This is from Satan. Let's go now. So now, we're going to read something else, because I told you that the people are still sought after this God even today. So now read this, we got this article right here. We ain't going to call out no name. So read that right there. What's
Enjoy an extra 20% off.
What?
Artemis moon necklace.
Artemis moon necklace. Look at that. You enjoy it. That's today. This is an advertisement for today. She said the Artemis moon necklace. Go ahead and read.
It says, unwritten, I love you, the moon and back crystal pendant necklace in sterling silver.
How much it cost?
$95.
It was originally $95, but you can get it for how much now?
Now on sale.
For
$23.75.
See, so this Artemis or Diana, she is still being sought after even today. Look at all these Artemis moon necklaces that people are buying today. They still buying them. That is really something, ain't it? From almost 2,000 years ago, from the time of Paul and them. But this Diana, she goes back even farther than that. She goes back farther than that. She goes all the way back to Ashtaroth, which you can read over about in Kings, which we're going to deal with during the time of Easter. But I just want to let you see that this God right here is even being sought out after even today. And this is an advertisement for today. Let's go now. Let's go back to the Bible. We don't want to stay on her too long.